What's up? I'm Tyler.
And I'm Dakota.
And this is the Bourbon and Business Podcast,
where we interview successful businessmen and women to let you in on why success doesn't have a single formula to follow.
We also have a little bourbon tasting along the way, because why not?
Why not?
So guys, please enjoy this episode and let us know your thoughts at Bourbon and Business Podcast on Instagram.
Coming to you from the Bourbon and Business Studio here in the Capitol Club in downtown Jackson, Mississippi. I'm Tyler.
And I'm Dakota.
And this is the Bourbon and Business Podcast. How you doing this afternoon, Dakota?
I'm great, Tyler. We just recorded an episode, and this is part two.
Part two.
So I'm looking forward to it.
Yep. Want to tell our listeners a little bit about this view we have here at the Capitol Club?
This is the best view in downtown Jackson, 20th floor, rooftop bar of the Capitol Club. They have daily lunches here. They have networking events here. They have networking spaces here. They have anything you could possibly imagine. Well, scratch that. Maybe not anything you could possibly imagine, but they've got a lot of stuff, including a parking garage. So if you're not a member, you're missing out. Be sure to check them out online and join today.
Yes. And then what are we sipping on this time?
Man, this time we're sipping on The Difference, Chapter 2. All right. So this is another the second chapter of Chris Voss's bourbon here, and it is Bottle is Bond. I'm going to let you guess the proof.
So I think the other one was a 108.
Yeah.
And so I think this is a lower proof, if my taste is correct. I think this may be a 95.
That's hilarious. The name is literally Bottle is Bond.
Yeah.
It's 100 proof.
Excuse me.
Close, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we can't be perfect. We can't be perfect here. But I will say this one, I think I like this one a little bit more.
Okay.
Which the other one I gave a 9.9. So, it's
there's only one way to go from here, Tyler.
This was my favorite of the two. I think I like the smoothness of it.
Ooh.
You're picking up more hints in this one of the cherry you were talking about. They even tasted a little honey, it seemed like, in it. So I'm gonna have to go with a 10.0 on this one. So this was the other one for me was a 9.9, which is phenomenal, but this is the one I'm taking home. I'm giving it a 10.0.
Good deal.
Well, Chris, we appreciate you coming on for a second episode. We're really excited to talk to you about the Shareholder Society. So tell our listeners where this idea came from and then how it came to be.
Yeah, Nick Nanton, very good friend, great guy, a documentary filmmaker. Nick and I have done a number of collaboration books. I first meet Nick at a high-end entrepreneurs coaching group that we both belong to. Just really positive guy. And he comes up to me and he says, "Hey, I'd like to make a documentary film on your company." I'm like, "Sure." Because of the room that he was in, and we were in together, that I knew he was a solid dude. And that documentary is now out. It's called Tactical Empathy. It's on Amazon. It talks about some of the cases that I worked and how we started to apply some of it into business. But he made it happen. And so my experience with Nick was right away, this is a guy that makes things happen, which is how he does business. A lot of people come to you with an idea, and they have no idea how to get it done. Nick has always got a way to get it done. And we did a number of projects, and probably about a year and a half ago, he says, "Hey, you want to start a bourbon?" And I'm like, "Yeah," because
why not?
he always gets it done. He always figures out a way to get it done. He's great at marketing and sales. Doing business with him, he always has top shelf people around him. And he always makes sure that everybody has fun. You're never going to be miserable. You're always going to have fun. It's going to be enjoyable. It's not going to suck the life out of you to do anything with him. Even when stuff is challenging, you're still going to have fun.
Love that.
So, he gets I know Nick is a marketing organization business guy. I'm the spokesmodel. I'm the what's the lady who turns the letters on
Vanna White.
I'm the Vanna White here a little bit.
Yeah, y'all look similar.
And he comes up with this great tagline for it. We're going to call it The Difference. And the tagline is going to be never split, always share. I'm like, all right, yeah. All right, I like where this is going. So he pulls in Roy Milner, insider Louisville, long time, knows everybody there. They trust him. They know him. There are a lot of industries where it's basically a guild. Everybody on the inside knows each other. They know who they can trust. They know who the nonsense artists are. And Roy's got a reputation of being a solid guy that they trust. So we talked to a couple different distilleries. We ended up talking to Bardstown Distillery. And they go like, look, man, we got these barrels that were this Jim Rutledge design, that were this bourbon the way he always wanted to make it. And, he was the master distiller, taste master from Four Roses, like the original guy. And through a series of circumstances, there's a bunch of this stuff he's laid down that nobody wants, because if you want your own white label bourbon, you're going to take a barrel.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a full retail distributor, you want 2,000 barrels.
Yeah.
Or 5,000 barrels. So there's these hidden diamonds, and there's only 200 barrels of it. And Roy says, we can lay our hands on this stuff. Let's go down and taste it. And we go down, we taste this stuff, and it's like, wow, this stuff is out of this world. How are we lucky enough to run across something that Jim Rutledge always wanted to do, but for a variety of reasons and corporate buyouts, these things get left behind because they weren't going to be profitable, and a corporation now owns them. And they're like, we got to dump these barrels because we're not going to make money off them.
Yeah.
And so we get this stuff, and it is amazing. Like, I don't know what's going to win all these awards. I just know I think it tastes good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we lay this stuff down. We get it committed to us. And then Nick's a documentary filmmaker. So if you get involved, you get to be part of the documentary. You get to hang out with the people that are making a film. And then it continues to evolve. And then we find out how complicated retail distribution is as we're feeding our way into it. I talked to a guy who's been an investor in Kendall Jenner's 8 Tequila. And he starts laying out to me like the torture of trying to get retail distribution. And he literally says to me, like, look, this is too hard. You want to do something better with your money? Go buy a strip joint. That's better.
Wow.
And so Nick is like, all right, so we got to find a different way to get this out. We're going to form a special corporation in Washington, D.C. We're going to make it membership only. It's going to be subscription, membership only. And then we're not going to have to deal with all this nonsense of every state has a different set of liquor laws.
Mm-hmm.
And the vicious fight for shelf space, which is vicious, and it's extortion, not literally, but if you've got a product in a liquor store and they bring in something you don't like, you just say, look, you get rid of that stuff we don't like, or we're pulling all our product. You don't get our stuff. So the liquor business at a retail level is it's a bar fight.
Dog eat dog, yeah.
It's dog eat dog. And so let's do it. Let's celebrate each other. Let's make it a subscription. Let's bring in people who do business, mostly entrepreneurs. Like, you're going to make a commitment for, anywhere from 24 to probably, I'm not sure what the high-end commitment is, but it's no less than 24 bottles of bourbon a year. If it's just you drinking at home, this is not worth it for you. But for me, what I have now is I have a gift I can give someone that they can't buy.
Yeah.
And there are a number of people, Never Split the Difference has really caught fire globally and among some very high-end people, like some extremely well-known people are fans of the book. And they'll contact me privately and they'll say, look, I love the book. Come and coach my team a little bit. And how do I send, and Damon John now has been very kind to me, and I've had dinner with him a number of times. Like, how do I give Damon John a gift?
Yeah.
Like, he's a shark from Shark Tank.
Yeah.
Like, I can't buy him anything he can't lay his hands on. He commutes in a jet. I commute my Toyota 4Runner. He commutes in his jet. So I got to give somebody who's been gracious enough to me to be kind to me a gift that they can't get anywhere else. Daymond John can't buy this bourbon anywhere. And there are a number of people that they have the money to, that I know they have the money to buy anything. Now I can give them something they can't get anywhere. You can't buy a single bottle of the bourbon. How much, if you could, what's it worth? Because you can't buy it, one recently went at auction for $5,000. These are $5,000 bottles of bourbon.
Jeez.
And so not only are they that good, but you have the ability to give somebody a gift they can't get from anybody else. And I love that because, you know, whether it's my brother-in-law or it's a famous person that's been kind enough to tell me they like my book, I want to be able to show my gratitude. And that's the advantage I have, for me personally, being part of the Shareholders Society.
What a unique way to do that, too. That's so cool. I love that. I love the little niche there that you found to differentiate yourself from everybody else.
Yeah, this bourbon's way too good to give to my brother-in-law, but I'm gonna have some other people I'll give it to.
Well, my brother-in-law's been busting my chops for so many years. You know, I had to one up him a little bit and send him something he couldn't get.
I love it.
Well, tell our listeners a little bit about the networking opportunities, so the events that y'all have, and then the actual networking time at those events.
Yeah, well, you know, we get together, we meet each other. You know, you and I, we were talking about Mick Hunt a little bit ago.
Yeah, love Mick.
Mick is a phenomenal guy.
Yeah,
and he's a fan of negotiating with people, not against them. He wants the people that work for him to generate great deals collaboratively with other people. Now, Nick and Mick happen to be sitting on a plane together. They strike up a conversation over Never Split the Difference. Mick is saying, yeah, I love the book. And Nick is like, yeah, well, Chris is a friend of mine, and we got this bourbon. And it's about celebrating great business.
Yeah.
And so Mick comes in and he comes to an event, he joins, I have a great time with him and his crew, a bunch of great regular guys. And then he's got this great podcast, and I'm going to speak at his conference. So business opportunities happen when you start running into people that share your core values, which is collaboration, long-term relationships. Let's succeed together. And then suddenly, you know, the serendipity of the moment, of the day, the alchemy, the things that happen because you proceed in a positive way and you run across positive people, and then your business expands. Suddenly, you're talking to people you wouldn't have spoken to, and you're making a deal you would have made otherwise.
Well, you touch on such a key thing there. I tell my team all the time, you know, the deal is done when you're out networking, meeting people, whether it's a chamber of commerce, an event like you put on. There are events that are going on everywhere, but you got to be out, be around people, and be willing to open up, share your story, and get to know them.
And be honest.
When you are having these events, is it a sit down where you get to collaborate with other people, other business people outside of your company as well?
Yeah, well, we always have great food. Nick Nanton always makes sure we're well fed. He makes sure that we know that to meet like-minded people. Just because you're at the event doesn't mean we're going to let you join. You know, one of the things we want to find out if we get a couple of bourbons in you is, what do you really like?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, do you get 2 drinks and we find out that you're there to hustle people and con people? Well, you're not going to get an invitation to join the society. You know, we want to hang out with you in a social situation where you will relax. We want to see if you laugh with people, not at them. We want to see if you laugh at yourself. We want to see if you value the people on your team. We want to see how you treat the people that bring you the food at the event. Because how you treat those people are how you're going to treat the people that work for me. And if you treat them with respect and kindness, then I don't have to apologize about you to somebody on my team because you were rude. And so we find out a lot about you at these events, and we find people that we want to do business with and we want to collaborate with and celebrate life.
I love that. Yeah. That is so cool. What a cool model, too. And one that I think has been tried before, but has not been done successfully. But it sounds like you guys worked out the kinks, if you will, and are doing it and rocking and rolling.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it's really due to Nick. Nick is a great MC. He's a great guy. He's about being collaborated with. You would never know it. He seems so nice. You cannot push him around, and he's the kind of guy you want. And it's really those events are. It's because of the way Nick orchestrates them.
Love that.
well, and I like the how it's exclusive. You know, that
Mm.
number one, the bourbon's exclusive. You're not just going to get a bottle of this, and then also the membership. Like you're just not letting anybody join, so it brings value to the people that, especially the business owners and people that want to be a part of it. They know like, hey, I'm not going to an event where I'm going to be hustled or someone's going to try to take advantage of me, sell me something. That it's going to be an event that's what it is for. And a lot of times when you go to these events, you get the opposite effect of what you were talking about. So how how did y'all come up with the concept of everything being exclusive? I mean, where did that come from?
Well, it as we got into it, the entrepreneurs were famous for building the airplane on the way before we crashed into the ground, and we find ourselves on top of an exclusive luxury brand, and that was not the original intent. The original intent was we wanted to have drinks with each other and celebrate success. We didn't know how good the bourbon was going to be. We thought it was probably going to be pretty good. We didn't know that it was going to be exclusive. But we get into it and we get it launched, and suddenly we're like, we're sitting on top of this luxury brand. But it's a luxury brand not with people that annoy you. Like some guy who's got a really expensive set of tennis shoes on. They're just regular people.
Yeah.
And it evolved into that. As we got into it, we started talking about the people we want to be around. A lot of them are from this. Nick and I both get coached at the same coaching organization, Strategic Coach. Dan Sullivan and his wife Babs run it. And they're just a lot of really good people there, really good entrepreneurs that collaborate with each other. And it's kind of the type that we have a tendency to run into at Strategic Coach.
I love that too. And you've got to be two things. You've got to be willing to meet somebody new, right? Like Mick and Nick on the plane. That relationship never would have happened if Mick had been like, had his headphones in or whatever, or was like, hey man, I'm not talking to anybody right now. And he and Nick struck up a conversation, and now y'all's relationship is evolving, right? And that's so cool to watch and see. And you get to collaborate in the future on things as well. And you never know who Mick's going to know who run into one day. And he's going to be like, hey, you got to meet this guy, Chris Voss, because I think he could be really impactful for your situation. And then two, you got to be ready. Even if you are talking with somebody like that, you've got to see the opportunity in it, and you've got to be able to capitalize on it. Because if you cannot capitalize on that opportunity, just like in hostage negotiations as well, if you see the opportunity and you don't strike at it, you might have missed the only one you're going to get.
Yeah, very true. Very true. And it's going with your gut, and your gut's going to tell you a lot, and it's just be willing to move forward.
So what was it like going down to Bardstown? And I mean, do they roll out like 200 bourbons? Like, hey, we're going to let you go through and try these. Like, how did that process work?
Yeah, they were great hosts. I mean, they're used to having people come in and look around, and so we got a great tour of the distillery. As it turned out, I think it was the COO was a fan of Never Split the Difference, and
that always helps.
He wanted, he wanted to come in and talk, because they like to do business with people.
Yeah,
and that's what the book is about. It's about great collaboration, not getting pushed around, and also if the person on the other side is trying to take advantage of you, how do you bow out politely as a gentleman or a lady, not with anger. And so they treated us great. They rolled out the red carpet. They were happy that we wanted to shoot a documentary process of working with them. So they were great from the very beginning, very collaborative. And we looked at a couple of other distilleries for comparison, but we knew that we wanted to go with Bardstown when we got in there.
So tell our listeners a little bit about, so in the first episode you touched on, who was Chris Voss before, the FBI and, writing the book, which, has become worldwide. Like you said, I mean, what is life like for you now after the book?
Yeah, it's really enjoyable. I get recognized some. not so much that people are getting away. But the cool thing about being recognized is somebody comes up to me and says, like, "Hey, man, I just want you to know I changed my life based on one deal
Wow.
from the stuff that I learned from your book." And so the gratifying thing about that is they made their life better for their family, for their kids, for themselves, but they never at anybody else's expense. Now, before my book came out, if somebody found out, I'm teaching negotiation at Georgetown, and they'd say to me, "Yeah, let me tell you about this one deal. I had him over a barrel." Well, they left an enemy behind, and they did it once. They got one victory in 5 years, and also it didn't change their life.
Mm.
It was a win that year, and that was kind of it. So it was at somebody's expense, and it didn't continue to have any momentum. But if somebody walks up to me and says, "Look, man, I changed my life with what I learned from your book," it's not at anybody's expense. And they took their life into a better place, and it has momentum. And that's the cool thing that I love about it more than anything else.
I love that. Did you ever imagine that you'd be here when you were writing the book, when you were finalizing it, when it was about to be published, and you're going, "Oh man, I hope somebody buys it"? Did you ever imagine it would be as successful as it was? Did you imagine that you would be here doing these speaking engagements, doing these consulting engagements, any of that?
No. I figured we'd probably teach corporations. It would work, and it would be so obvious that they would continue once we taught them. They would be like we were and want to continue to learn and get better. As a general rule, we do a lot of corporate training, but the people that are the best are the entrepreneurs. The people that love to learn, and then we coach. We coach all the time. I didn't really envision as coaching, and it has ended up being huge, and it's even more fun coaching somebody through a deal. So yeah, it's been, and the fact that books all over the world is kind of crazy too.
Well, and I think, you touched on how it can change people's life. And, I read the book when it first came out several years ago. And, I think honestly, most colleges should throw their textbooks out on negotiation and just slide the book in instead, because it really gives you a master class, which you could go to college for maybe, 4 years for now and pay tuition
5 in
for
your
it.
case, right?
If you can, yeah.
Yeah,
Probably more
7
than
years
that.
of my life.
I'm actually still going, but you can pick the book up and really get out of that book what you can get from a high level college course over several years. So I'm
Thank
thankful
you.
for the book, and I know there are many other people with the same story.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And I think we're seeing a shift into that as well, of there's teaching and there's experience. Where is the balance in between the two that we can actually provide like some applicable knowledge to these people in these college classes taking these courses? Because it's not just going to come from a textbook. You're not going to be able to read a textbook and go out and do a hostage negotiation successfully your first time unless you get lucky, or it's like a very low risk situation or something like that, but if you've got somebody who's actually got experience and can share with you certain tips and tricks that don't happen in the book, that you only get from real world experience, that's where the actual knowledge, that's where the learning occurs. So what does that balance look like in the future? And I think our younger generation is wanting more out of that experience, not just here's a textbook, here's an AI chat that you can chat with your textbook to get the answers for the quiz that we have next Monday. You know what I mean? Are we learning? Is that actual knowledge that's going to help me in the real world? Probably not. But hey, here's a case study and here's some information behind it. Let me tell you how I use this information in this actual real world experience.
Yeah. And your comment about the younger generation is really kind of interesting because whoever decided to coddle them and give them everything they wanted digitally. What my experience now is that when they suddenly discover emotional intelligence, it's not digital, it's human interaction. They're like, wow, I love this. They tried to feed me all this digital stuff before, my phone. They think I gotta be remote and this, and then when they suddenly discover this great feeling of communication, because for whatever reason people thought they needed to be fed this digital stuff. Like the youngsters that discover this, they have the best time with it. They love it.
So true. So true. Once you realize that you can impact somebody in a positive way just through words, just through communication with them, it's life changing. Because like you said, you start practicing it in the real world. You start noticing things. You start to become aware of your own emotions and how you're feeling in certain situations and why you're feeling that way. If you can do that, then you can help others become aware of it. And there is no better feeling than helping someone realize something that you see so clearly and they have a light bulb aha moment and they're like, oh my gosh. And like you said, that's that life change moment. And then they become aware, right? And now you've got more people who are becoming aware and more people who are making the push for EQ and emotional intelligence. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, as we're coming home here, Chris, kind of tell our listeners, if someone's listening and they say, hey, like, I want to join in on this networking deal. I want to join the shareholder society. What is the best way for them to find y'all and find that information?
Email my team. Black Swan Ltd is the website. So make it subject line shareholder society, info at blackswanltd.com, your standard info at, and it'll come to our inbox and we'll connect you up. We'll make sure that you get connected to the shareholder society, find out when the next event is. Think about, don't do this if you don't want to be generous. Because besides the regular bottles of bourbon that you have, we have some other smaller bottles that are hip flask size called shareables. And you want to be generous. And like, I got a guy come by my house the other day. He's got to fix something that's got a problem. I hand him a shareable. And I like, look, I appreciate you coming by. Here, take this home. It's some pretty good stuff. You're going to enjoy it. And it's a way. It's a way to be generous. So if you don't want to be generous, don't join. But if you're interested in being generous, then pursue it.
That's a great rule.
I'm glad to know that about the shareables. I may give my brother those. But Chris, we appreciate the time. It was a pleasure talking with you
Absolutely.
today. For all our listeners, go online. You can find Chris on social media, on Instagram. I'm pretty sure all other social media is out there as well.
There's another Chris Voss on Instagram. I'm at the FBI negotiator. I'm the FBI negotiator.
So yeah, very important.
Yeah, that guy would be like, what is all this? What are these direct messages about?
I got to tell you, the fact that I exist annoys the hell out of him, and I apologize. I'm sorry. My name's Chris Voss too. There's nothing I can do about it. Live with it.
That's hilarious.
I love it.
Well, to all the listeners, however you stream this podcast, if you will give us a rating and follow us on social media, and we will see you next week. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode.
If you have any feedback or would like to be featured, reach out to us at bourbonandbusinesspodcast@gmail.com.
Or find us on Instagram at Bourbon and Business Podcast.
Thanks again for listening.
Follow us for more content and info on the next episode.